Powers Ultimate families, everybody doing out there? Alafia, Bakun, Eshe, Dosi, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Just to here to talk about a couple different things today. Sorry for any of the problems we was having. Was supposed to go live later. But for many different reasons, we were having technical difficulties. So you just gotta do what you gotta do, right? But Powers Ultimate, hope everybody doing all right out there. Thank you for tuning in, no matter what time you're tuning in, whether you're here now or whether you're here later. Thank you. We're only going to be talking about a couple small things here, specifically, as the title say, hidden African science, right? The reasons why I want to speak about this is we covered it in our class last week, but we don't. We will be discontinuing the in-person classes on Manchester Road of the Dragon's Mantle. So I wanted to start off with this curriculum on this Tuesday. We also have classes on Wednesday. We also have classes on Thursday for anyone who is interested in those deeper conversations, those deeper lectures. Today we're talking about hidden African science, right? Before we can go into it, I want to give thanks to all my elders, all my godparents, and even my godchildren for honoring me with this selected knowledge, honoring me just through the basis of everything, correct? So I want to speak about hidden African science. To start off, when we speak about science, correct? When you look up the terms of science, you get the Latin term, right? It's scire, S-C-I-R-E, correct? You also get scienta, right? These Greek and Latin terms means knowledge. They mean awareness. They mean exposing to the light, correct? So it's very important for us to understand the sciences, the different forms of the science. We speak about the different branches of life, correct? This tree of life. If you look up any of the ologies, right? Sociology, etymology, etc., correct? Astrology, ology, you get log, the word log in ology. Log as in branch or as in extension of this tree, and the tree of life is what they were speaking about. So until you understand all of the ologies, you won't be able to understand what they're trying to tell you, correct? You must study all of the ologies. So the science is very, very important. Once again, special thanks to Professor Kaba. Professor Kaba dropped a video not too long ago, which reminded me that these notes were in my curriculum. It was very important for us to speak about it right now, right? So I want to start off by speaking about the Dogon people. And I'm not going to speak about the Dogon people for a long period of time. Like I said, shout out to Professor Kaba for bringing this information back to my mental. And he actually explained this story that I'm going to explain to you. So we get to the Dogon people. Someone made a statement on our Facebook. Follow us on all platforms if you don't already. Someone made a statement or a comment on our Facebook when we were speaking about this, saying that the ancient Kemets were the oldest scientists of this information, which that's not exactly true. They are some of the oldest, but they're not the oldest, correct? You get the Dogon people of Mali. These individuals understood a more secret science, correct? Once upon a time, there was Islamic Muslim missionaries who came upon these people. If you look up Mali, this was one of the largest regions or plateaus that was in Western Africa. And these Islamic missionaries came to the Dogon people and sat amongst the Dogon people. Remember that the Dogon people are individuals who practice Ifa, practice ATRs, African traditional religions or spiritual systems. They fought for hundreds and maybe even thousands of years not to be converted into Islam. They didn't want to be Muslims. This is highly why they traveled around and different things like that. But so on and so on. They invited some Islamic missionaries into the practices, and around this time, the Islamic missionaries was just in time for a Kanaga ceremony, correct? These Dogon people were very, very intelligent. These Dogon people started to explain that they knew about two stars, more stars, but two specific stars, Sirius A and Sirius B. Sirius B is what they call Kizi Uzi. Kizi Uzi is a term for the littlest star, correct? Sirius B or Kizi Uzi circles or orbits Sirius A. Sirius, it does this orbit every 50 years, correct? Sirius B is invisible to the naked eye. Keep in mind, telescopes was not invented until 1862 in that region. Sirius B is it's invisible to the naked eye, but it orbits Sirius A. And the Dogon people understood this. Every 50 years, Sirius B would make a complete orbit around Sirius A. After that 50 years, 10 years after each 50 years, so every 60 years, the Dogon people would have a ceremony, correct? This ceremony was the creation of the Kanaga mask. The Kanaga mask was placed on a sacred chair that they created specifically for the mask, correct? Now, they invited these missionaries in during this ceremony. These missionaries were just in time to review this. So they bring them into these temples, and it's already 11 chairs with Kanaga masks placed there. So they placed the 12th one there. And one of the Islamic missionaries was a mathematician. He said, hold on. You mean to tell me that y'all do this ceremony every 60 years? They said, yes. Then they noticed that it was already the 11 chairs in there. So he started doing the math, right? 60 times 12. That's a 720. He looked and say, y'all know about this invisible star that orbits another star every 50 years, and 10 years after that, y'all have a ceremony. So for 720 years, y'all conduct yourself into these ceremonies? They said, no, man. We have 2 to 3 other rooms already filled. We're just now filling this one. So that would lead you to do 720 times 3, right? We're talking more than 3,000 years ceremony and tradition that they practiced this, that was documented, correct? This was how important or how conducive to spirituality these individuals was. They understood astrology without having a telescope until 1862. So this was the importance of it. So these individuals, you have to propose the question. If they didn't have telescopes, they didn't have all of these mechanisms, who were they speaking to be able to know this information? We have information that they had glass windows. We had information that they already had certain type of microchips. We had certain information that they had ledgers and bills and checks, electricity to a certain degree. They had already invented the wheel. We have to understand that Africa looks the way it looks because it's a battleground. Have went through thousands and thousands of years of wars, but was not allowed the proper rebuilding stage like Europe or China was, correct? So we have to keep that in mind. Ancient Kemet, going to the comment, saying Ancient Kemet was the oldest scientist of this information. Ancient Kemet had got this information from the Dogon Mali people. Like I said, the Dogon people spent years running away from Islam, correct? So they're the ones who eventually birthed of what we can see of the Moors. Now, we're not going to get too much in that as far as Morocco. Remember, Mali is in the Western Hemisphere. They have the largest plateau or land region in the Western Hemisphere, and Morocco is up in the corner. Those were individuals who went up there and created the terms and created the tales and expertise the information, correct? But when you get to Ancient Kemet, they call it dark rites. And this is what I want to emphasize on the darkness, going into melanin, going into cosmo atmospheres, going into the secret science of the pineal gland, correct? Ancient Kemet speaks about that the world is two discs, the sky being one and the earth being one. And this was based off those dark rites, that you had to be born again, that we were always here, that this is an everlasting life, and light and darkness, correct? I always tell people about the triple SD. This is a system that I have created to remember. The triple SD is the enlightenment of darkness, correct? Everything beneficial or valuable happens in the darkness. Sleep, the first S in triple SD, sleep. We know that melatonin, which is derived in the mental or is derived in the mind, in the pineal gland, correct? Medulla oblongata, the pons, the pituitary gland, etc. They all have a benefit or they all have a duty when it comes to helping the pituitary gland produce this melanin. Remember that the pineal gland is shaped as a pine cone and it sits in CSF, cerebral spinal fluid. As you start to unlock the pineal gland, which we will speak about, it starts to vibrate and it vibrates the cerebral spinal fluid. The cerebral spinal fluid is able to unlock the vertebrae. Remember, there's 33 vertebrae, the Jesus number. Jesus died at 33. And there's a lot of other plateaus. 3 plus 3 is 6, and we can get into the 666. 6 plus 6 plus 6. We can get deeper into this, right? We go to 18. 1 plus 8, that's 9. I'm going to get into numerology, but just stay with me here. So the melanin, very, very important to life force, correct? The melatonin, remember serotonin for serious, melatonin for mellow. The melatonin is what induces the sleep. You need the darkness while you go to sleep, correct? It's going to be harder if you try to go to sleep during the day. Sleep, one of the most valuable acts that we can do as human in this human experience, you need the darkness. Sex, the man must penetrate. The man must go into the darkest cavity of the woman. The man must enter the darkness of the woman to be able to create life, correct? The darkness is needed. The sperm and the ovary meets in the darkness. The baby, the embryo is created in the darkness. The womb creates the baby in the darkness. Not until the baby is born, the light meets him and the illusion starts to take place of life. The suffering starts to take place of life, correct? When the light meets, the suffering meets, the illusion starts. But until that stage, you only get the darkness. The stars, which is illuminated spiritual beings or spiritual energy or spiritual forces in certain cultures. But the stars are prominent because they have that melanin carbon 666 atmosphere that's around the radiation glow, correct? And also diamonds. One of the most valuable materialistic things that we have in the human experience is found where? In the ground, in the darkness, along with the gold, the uranium, and other beneficial things to our human experience. Hence, seeds. You drop the seed into the ground, it goes into germination, and the darkness is needed for germination for life to bloom. Understand that darkness is all. Understand that darkness is safe. Understand that darkness is pressure, and all valuable things are hidden within that darkness. Correct? Now, going back to the ancient Kemets, because this is where we're going to tie in the information. The Egyptians, see, understand the Dogon people understood the astrology of it, right? We told them they understood these stars that wasn't possible able to see. They mastered the astrology. Remember, I said ologies is very important here. They mastered the astrology. The ancient Egyptians, the Kemets, the Kemet knowledge mastered the numerology. We can get more deeper into that. And I will. But you get to go back and tie the Dogon people and the Dogon studies with the ancient Kemet studies. Like I said, they speak about these two discs, the sky and the earth. So they were speaking about the numerology that can happen in the middle. Remember that. Remember that, and we'll get deeper into numerology. Let me not jump ahead. So you get Digitaria, correct? Digitaria is a word for Tolo, correct? Remember the Tolos. And I don't think I spoke about the Tolos yet, but in the Dogon people, they speak about Sigitolo. Sigitolo, they were speaking about a star, correct? You get Digitaria. Digitaria, they were speaking about Potolo, right? Potolo is a white dwarf. It's an embryological star. At this point in time, we have to ask, what are they speaking about? An embryological star means to tell me that it's a star connected with the head. There's a star connected with the pineal gland. It's a star connected with the medulla oblongata. And this is what they found out. There's also another star called the Kutolo, correct? The Kutolo is the star of the head. The Guzo Tolo is the star of the body, correct? In Kemet, they talk about the Potolo once again. In Kemet, they say that the Potolo is the sun behind the sun, correct? We already know that they were speaking about the hawk god Horus, Ra. We can already tie these entities down to the pineal gland, correct? So they understood that you were connected with what we can look up and see. That this melanin was a source for us, as a chemical-based source that we all contain, that we can use to tap into this higher lineage or this higher ancestral connection or this divine predominant energy force that's out there, correct? So we already know that the ancient Kemets mastered numerology because you get the Giza pyramid. And if you do the measurements of the Giza pyramid, you see they base that on every day of the year. And when you go inside of the Giza pyramids, which is the largest pyramid that's in Egypt that they have documented, we know there's pyramids all over the world. But the Giza pyramid is very, very important. When you see Indiana Jones or you see the mummy and you see them touch something in a wall shift or some light come down and it hit the mirror, that's real, okay? The Giza pyramid has ventilation systems, has ventilation shafts. These shafts are to track the orbit of the stars, circumpolars, the sun, the solstice of the sun, and lunar magic and lunar energy as well. So when the sun is in a certain place, a beam of light will come down. When certain stars like the Polo Tolo or the Sigi is in certain places, certain beams of light will come down. They understood that the sun solstice crosses or lines with the Milky Way multiple times. But every 12,960 years, it takes place. But then they found some more information and they understood that it takes place 30 times every 26,000 years. It would cross the Milky Way 30 times. They understood that the sun crosses the galactic equator, dissecting the Milky Way on the same day as the winter solstice, right? Now, we have to keep in mind that the cardinal compass is based off 4s. We have to understand that the primary color code is based off 4. There's many colors on the color spectrum, but understand what I'm saying here. You got red, yellow, blue, and indigo. The only reason, take a picture of the sun. Keep taking pictures of the sun. You'll see a little black dot. That's the real sun. The melanin carbon 666 substance. That's the real sun. We interpret it as yellow because the color spectrum is flipped around. You get yellow, orange, red, green, blue, et cetera, but it goes up to purple. And then after purple, it gets to black. The sun is really black. It's the carbon energy that they're trying to speak about here, correct? Now, the ancient Kemets, like I say, they mastered the numbers, the numerology side of it. The Dogon Mali people, they mastered the astrology side of it. The ancient Kemet scientists gave this information to the Chinese, correct? Now, the Chinese They mastered the meditation side of it, right? Now, this is what we're going to get into. Keep in mind, go back and look at my numerology video, speak about the number 9, because this is 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. These numbers are very important when it comes to activating the body. The reasons why so many life path 7 numbers is because it's in the middle of those numbers, right? So 4 being the color spectrum, being the cardinal compass, being the 4 corners of the world, the 4 drums of the orishas. These were them trying to let you know about the numerology, correct? The Chinese, the Tibetan monks, they start to go off on the number 5. And this gets into, NDEs and OBEs, right? Near-death experiences, outer body experiences, different things like that, right? The ancient Tibetan monks, they started to understand, getting all of these note situation. They started to understand the number 5. And we're going to take the hand because I want to start talking about mudras. If anyone is not familiar with mudras, look up what they are. M-U-D-R-A-S. These mudras were hand signs. These were hand gestures. These were seals, as they call them. These seals encapsulate the energy while you are meditating. We have a mantra, yantra, and tantra class coming up. Be on the lookout for it. But this will talk about the mudras in depth. Not only mantras, tantras, and yantras, but we will talk about the mudras in depth. They understood that the mudras was based off a 5-element system, correct? Water, the pinky. Ring is earth. The middle is space. The index is air. And the thumb is fire, right? If you do certain mudras, and we have all different mudras, when you see people like that, the Donald Trumps, the Andrew Tates, etc., all of these are so-called mudras, correct? My favorite, just to demonstrate, my favorite is when we create the Ankh. Not sure if you can see it there. Is when we create the Ankh with it. All of these mudras, like I say, they call them seals. Hastas means the hand, correct? The body and the eye is what they were getting into synchronicity with, right? So the right hand, the right hand is for solar, the left hand is for lunar, and that's a whole different conversation of it. But remember, to be direct about it, I added 6 and 7 in there, but it's 5, 8, and 9, correct? These are equivalent to the number 4 again. The color spectrum and the compass and the 4 drums of the world. The 5 comes in because this was the elements: fire, earth, air, space, water. These were the elements that we all needed to have in the human experience to live, correct? And they understood the mudras was sealing in the energy. You get kujikeri. Kujikeri is a mudra that is one of the first ones. Assassins, ninjas, they use this. Kujikeri. This was a power source. This one was linked to your root chakra. If you could understand kujikeri, you could understand how to unlink your root chakra, and the rest of the systems, knowing the science of the mudras, will come into place, right? Now, you got many different mudras. You got the ones as, lam, vam, ram, yam, ham, sham, and om, right? Many different ones, just many different simple ones that you could tap into. But they understood that it was a deity or a frequency or a force behind that. Now, understood that this came from all the way from Mali. We taught them, but the Tibetan monks, the Asians, the Chinese man is the one who mastered it, correct? Now, like I said, we got the 5 elements. You've got the 4 directions, the 4 color spectrums, the main 4 colors. You got the number 9. I spoke about the 9 tectonic plates of the earth. Nitrogen runs on 9 cycles. The human body has 9 holes. 666 is 18. 1 plus 8, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. That's where the 9 comes in. So if you add up 5, 8, and 9, equivalent, you get the number 4. You come right back to the number 4. So this was the importance of it, correct? Like I said, we go towards mantras, tantras, and yantras. And we will do an extensive class with this. But they understood all different gestures of the body and that the mind was very, very important. They have a Kundalini meditation practice. You should put your tongue on the roof of your mouth while you're meditating. Rotate your head counterclockwise or clockwise based on the time zones, but it was usually counterclockwise, rotating your neck with your tongue on the top of the roof of your mouth, humming, doing mudras, having aromatherapy. Going back to the Pyramid of Giza, I spoke about the ventilation shafts that they have. They were very smart and knew it was very important to get numerology down, so that's why they mastered it. You see those little copper or tin triangle pyramids that you see people meditating under? They said the Giza pyramid had a huge one with a big lithium quartz on top of the pinnacle of the pyramid. Not the Giza pyramid, but they had a smaller framed copper or gold pyramid inside of the Giza pyramid. And they would come together. They would either make a triangle or make a circle inside of the smaller pyramid while they had amethyst crystals lined up around. And other crystals, African turquoise, citrine, just a whole bunch of different crystals lined up on the base while they had the lithium quartz at the top. When the Siji Tolo, the Polo Tolo, these specific stars or lunar energy or solar energy was prominent on certain days, that this energy with the ventilation shaft would capture the energy of the light. It would go into the lithium crystal of the lithium quartz, and that will activate all of the other crystals while you are up under it. So you're doing these mudras. You got someone doing yantras. You got someone doing mantras and tantras. You have aromatherapy. You have light frequencies. You're meditating. You're doing small gestures. Like I said, the mudras was sealing the energy, and you was able to tap into a higher frequency and have a deeper conversation with ancestors and deities. No matter if you want to call them gods or rishas, blue eyes, whoever they was, ancestors, deities that was past, evolutional past this human experience, correct? So this is the importance of understanding the sacred science that's coming out of Al-Kebulan, coming out of Africa, coming out of Ethiopia, coming out of Morocco and Mali and Nigeria and Ghana and ancient Kemet and even Saudi Arabia. But I speak about a lot that we have to be careful, right? Because you must talk to who taught the Egyptians. Because what you get now is Egyptology. No Africanology, no Europology, no Americanology, Egyptology, which is a filter system to make sure we don't get this information, because they found out that they were passing the information on to the Tibetan monks, the Mali individuals who's the captivators of this individual information, right? Now understand that along the lines, you just had people who found expertise in the information. So that's when it starts to shift or get a little bit different. We have to base it on climate. We have to base it on atmosphere and just regions of the world of why these tales is similar but different. Then we have to add in things like Egyptology. These very, very light-skinned Arabian men, or these very, very Caucasian white women who are in charge of everything that came out the ground, everything that came out the temples, right? This is why we get the Genesis story, but it's not the same Genesis story that's written inside the tombs. So we have to keep in mind that the secret hidden science of Africa is very, very deep. It has a large depth of it, and that it is one that you must study all of the ologies, right? You can't just study astrology and think you understand this. The Mali people was experts of that. So you must study them. And then you must study astrology. And then what other European, Socrates and Plato, they learned the information that the Mali people had created. And maybe they put their own hypothesis on it. And down the road, 1862, when telescopes was invented, they took that teachings and added on, erased certain things, put it on based on their atmosphere, race, religion, sector, traditions, etc. And this is why it gets whitewashed, or this is why it gets hidden, right? So your job is to look up the ancient people, look up the tribal people, go talk to the elders. And that's why a lot of people don't like me, because I speak directly to the elders. You know what I'm saying? They talk about me shaking hands with Umar Johnson, studying Kaaba and different things like that. But these elders are able to talk to other elders. My main thing is getting to the source of these elders. That's why we speak Swahili, Yoruba, Arabic, Creole, English, right? We speak all these different languages. Swahili have branched us off to be able to talk to our elders in these regions. Yoruba have taught us to speak to these elders in these regions before we passed it to Egypt, before we passed it to Tibet, before we passed it up to Europe, before we passed it to China. They still have the tongue. And this is the thing, right? Because once it got to Egypt and they mastered the mathematics, this is when they started writing. Before it got to them, we weren't writing. Mali people, Yorubian people, Yoruba land believed in the passage of tongue, right? The rights being passed down through stories and different tales, etc., right? By the keys, right? So when you get to Egypt, remember that they the ones who want to be experts in writing information. That's why you get the hieroglyphics on the wall. This is why you get Ethiopia being the most Christianized place in the world. Why am I telling you this? Because right under Ethiopia is a place called Byblos. Byblos is where you get the word for Bible. The first places they went to go get paper to write the Bible was in Byblos. The first people who created paper. It was black sheets made out of plant matter. And they would write with lighter clay and different dyes and things that they created. They started writing these verbal messages or these verbal stories. This was when they started writing them down. Remember that Byblos is under Ethiopia. Ethiopia is in the same region under Egypt. So, and Ethiopia is one of the most Christianized places in the world. Egypt is the only place that has Egyptology. Understand that once we gave it over, this is when the process started. Certain kingdoms took a while, 100 years here, 300 years here, to fall with the information, and other people came in. Like I say, those very light Saudi Arabians, the barbaric Mongols of China and Asia, and then the barbaric Neanderthals of Europe. We ended up teaching them tongue, and then we taught them different languages and how to write and mathematics, and that's when it got placed on. But understand that the mathematics we gave them, and I spoke about this in another clip, the mathematics we gave them, they couldn't understand. So this is why the calendars is wrong, time is wrong, equations, we come in to find out that everything is wrong. And once again, go up and look up my latest numerology video, which is the number 9. I've been recycling for a while, but we have been adding on information to the number 9. Go look up that, especially on TikTok. Go look up our most latest numerology of the number 9, and it will explain more of what possibly happened with the numbers. So like I say, when we talk about science, we're talking about knowledge, awakening, awareness. When we speak about ologies, sociology, etymology, astrology, etc. Any ology that you can find is part of the tree of life. This tree of life that we're speaking about is infinite knowledge, correct? So we must understand the infinity. Now, someone said, and thank you for the comment because I was going to breathe past it. Someone said that I mentioned 5, 8, and 9, right? Remember that I said the 6 is going to come from the 666, which is equivalent to 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. Remember that the 5 is the 5 elements: fire, water, air, earth, and space. Remember that the 9 is the universe, is man. 9 holes in the body: eyes, nostrils, mouth, ears, genitals. 9 tectonic plates, 9 nitrogen cycles. The mother carries the baby for 9 months, and so on and so on. The Bible, so many 9 representations of 9. Go look at the numerology video. So you get to the 4. If you add up 5, 8, and 9, that's equivalent to 4. But the 8 comes in because it's infinite, right? Go back and look up I.M.S. I believe, if I'm slaughtering her name, I'm sorry, but she added on to the numerology video for us. Blessed to her. I.M.S. She tells us, she has exposed the information that the number 8 and the number 9 is supposed to be reversed, because the number 8 is infinite. Turn the 8 sideways, that's when you get the infinite sign, right? Continuous flowing, right? The number 8 is also 2 zeros stacked on top of each other, right? 0, circle, infinite continuous process, right? So we must understand 5, 8, 9 and equivalent to the number 4. That goes to color spectrums, that goes to cardinal directions, and that goes to the 4 corners of the world, that goes to the 4 drums as far as the Berisha, Urubian information and different things like that. If we don't understand ologies, numerology, astrology, we won't be able to understand these secret sciences. So this was the importance of the H.A.S, the hidden African science. This is just scratching the surface. For anyone who wants a more deeper elaboration, like I said, we have mantra, the yantra, and tantra class, where we will further the mudra conversation. The number 5, the numerology of the number 5 will be a part of that course. As far as anyone with the ATRs, as far as the magical practices, where we talk about a little bit more history. We do have Blood of the Roots, Black Magic courses. That is highly for indigenous people who wants to learn more about the indigenous secret sciences. And then as far as the H.S, the Hidden African Science, well, this is just scratching the surface, more of an introduction video, but we will eventually convert this into a complete conversation. Like I say, we're releasing this today, and we had the live today, and I just wanted to go live to get it out here. And we had a lot of different complications, but I wanted to get it out here because we have discontinued, whether it be temporarily or whether it would be indefinite, we have discontinued the plant class, the plant magic class, where we talk about a lot of this information, have a lot of open conversations about this. But that was held on Dragon's Mantle on Manchester Road, which we have discontinued for many different reasons. So for anyone who wants to continue the information in a private manner, kwofikhan.com, go to our services. We have our classes linked. For anyone who wants to get a personal mentorship with this information on a more in-depth private side, email us kanian700@gmail.com or hit us up and follow us on all platforms. Please subscribe, but also follow us on other platforms where you can DM us and private message us. We always try to work back, but definitely try to email us, because that is our most prominent notified spot to where people can get in contact with us on a more professional level, to be involved in one of these courses or curriculums that we have. So I don't want to linger. I don't want to waste too many of your time, but take this hidden information that I've gave you and do your research on it. I do not claim to have the ultimate knowledge. I do not claim to have the ultimate tongue. I tell people that all the time. Like a lemon say, blessed to her. What I have to say is not the only thing to say. So take this information, bless, thank you. Take this information and build on it. And yes, just to close out, I did speak. Great question. I did speak about the mudras, and I didn't want to get too deep into it, but just for the sake of the questions, yes. Specifically, there's many, right? I spoke about the lamb, vam, ram, yam, sham, etc. But there's also the ones that the ninjas and the samurais use, right? And you see them on American Ninja and different things like that still being used to this day. The mudras is very important. The one I spoke about was Kiji Kiri, Kujikiri, Kiji Kuji Kiri, right? This was equivalent to the power chakra, the root, but it was it's very simple, but it was for power. Now, You had fire or foe, right? This was PYO. This was for energy. So once you get the power, you're energizing the power. Batteries can have frequencies inside of them, but still be dead until they come into a charge, right? So this was the PYO, fo, fio, however you would like to pronounce it. This was the energy. This resides in the sacral, around the navel. This was the sacral chakra, right? So the root has going to Kundalini information and Kundalini meditations, right? So while you're meditating, we understand Kundalini meditations. There's a sleeping serpent that's on the bottom of the root chakra, right? So the Kujikiri is going to give it power. It's going to wake it up, but it's just woke. It's still in the bed. The next one, which is the file, or the foe, is going to give it energy, right? So now it's kind of yawning, is moving around, etc., right? Then you get the tho. The tho is a little different. Excuse me, while I get it together. The tho is a little different, and people see me do this one a lot. I like this one. This is the tho. The tho is for the solar plexus. This is in the middle, before it gets to the heart, right? Before it gets a job, before the serpent finds what its live long duties is, right? So you get the tho. This was for the solar plexus. This was assigning it, building a plan, it building a strategic blueprint, it building a schematic of how it's going to unlock. Now, I'm not going to go all of them for sake of time. We kind of went over, but I'm not going to go over for sake of time. But there's many more, and this serpent will go past the 33 vertebrae, which is very important. 3 plus 3 is 6. The Christ, which can be considered the Christ number. Jesus died at 33. And I'm not a Christian for all the trolls, but it goes past the rest of them using the different mudras, wraps around, comes up the spine, wraps around the head, and comes straight into the third eye to be awakened. This is when the crown chakra starts to illuminate. This is when the Akashic records are being able to be downloaded. This is when the aura, which there's 10 bodies, look up the video about 10 bodies, you will understand a little bit more. This is when the aura starts to connect with the rest of the body and be able to glow. Because we talk about the radiant body. Without the radiant body, there is no glow of the chakras. There is no glow of the aura. There is no luminous energy able to awaken the third eye. You need the connection with the radiant body. And once again, go look up the 10 bodies video that we have, and you will understand a little bit more of what I'm speaking about there. So yes, to answer your question, there are more. You should look them up. Look up the mudras, M-U-D-R-A-S. If you need help with this, book our mantra, tantra, and yantra class, and we will assist you. We also have guided meditations where we scratch the surface, but we teach you certain gestures. Remember I said that the mudras is gestures, they're seals. So we teach you certain mantras. We teach you how to use certain yantras. We teach you how, if you have a partner, how you can use tantra in the connection of another body and different things like that. So we offer many different things to be able to understand this expertise. So this is the this is the H.A.S, the Hidden African Science course. This is just scratching the surface, and you can use it as an intro of the different things that we will be speaking about. But if you're interested, kwofikhan.com, go to our service page, you will find it. Or hit us up and follow us on any and every platform. Our direct messaging inbox is always open, or email us at kanian700@gmail.com. I definitely want to say thanks for anyone who's tuned in now, who's tuned in on the other platforms, who are tuned in later. Blessings, alafia, abakum, assalamu alaikum, we are grateful for you and your time given to us. If anyone is interested in building on this, definitely hit the comment section. I'm always a student. I remain a student. I think Jada Kid said it. So power is ultimate. Everybody stay healthy out there, and alafia.